Hey, NPM fam, and welcome back to another Dealer Dialogue episode. Today I've got James Myers, president of Valley Cycle Center in Winchester, Virginia, with me. James, thank you so much for coming on to talk with us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to having a discussion.
Absolutely. So, to begin with, could you tell us a bit about your background and how you got into the motorcycle and power sports industry?
I was, it's a family business. My father started this business back in 1968, and he began with a couple of British franchises, Triumph and BSA, and that's, his interest of getting into the motorcycle industry. It was directly related to just his interest in motorcycles in general. He's just an enthusiast. He liked riding
Mhm.
and thought it would be a great way to make a career. And he did. He did a great job with it. He built a great business. And in April of 2020, obviously a lot was happening in the world, but a lot was happening in our world too. We had been working for about 2.5 years to put together a buy sell agreement with him, and it just happened to land right in the middle of COVID. So right at the beginning of COVID, I should say. So we completed the buy sell agreement with him in April of 2020. My brother and I, and so
Mhm.
able to keep the Valley Cycle Center in the family, and we're just trying to do as well as he did, and keep the ship off the icebergs. So
Yeah. Oh, and it's always great to hear, the family history that goes into these businesses. I love that about this industry.
yeah, it. So I've this is my 24th year being employed by Valley Cycle Center, working here in the industry. It's my 24th year. My brother, who's a little younger, actually has worked here a little bit longer. He's probably about 25 years. I went to after school, got a job, and started working a couple different places, and got some different experiences elsewhere. And came back to work for Pop, and it was a nice start for the industry. And he was very much an old school guy. You came up from the bottom and worked your way up. His famous thing was, this is not a monarchy. It's not a monarchy. You don't get to just, as soon as I'm done, you get to sit in my chair. It just isn't the way it's going to work. You've got to earn it. So I like to think that we were able to earn our way to where we are. And this industry is littered with bad stories about dealers' kids that just couldn't make it happen. And we're working hard to not be one of those statistics, to make sure that we continue with good business practices, and keep things cooking here at Valley Cycle Center, so that not only can we succeed, but also our employees and the people around us, and make for a good business. So.
That's excellent to hear. So, before we get into, a little bit more about how you handle the business, just for our viewers, we'll go over some kind of, quick facts here. So, first of all, what OEMs do you carry?
We carry Kawasaki, Polaris, cfmoto, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Volcon. Just picked up Volcon.
Okay, nice. And what would you say is your best selling vehicle or segment right now?
If you look at just kind of the broad segments, two-wheel motorcycle, ATV, and UTV, we still sell, out of those three, we still sell more motorcycles than we do anything else. But if you were to lump four-wheel together, it's not even close. We
Oh, wow.
UTV is right on the heels, nipping right on the heels of passing motorcycles. Just in terms of unit count, um,
Hmm.
dollars, it's way skewed the other way. But when we look at just unit count and the customers asking for what we're selling, it's we're selling more motorcycles. UTV's right there, and then ATV's third.
Okay. Well, so it's kind of making sense now why you would have brought Volcon on as an additional, four wheel brand into the segment.
Yeah, Volcon. We've done my guys have done such a good job of embracing the electric stuff. Polaris had an EV Ranger years ago that was, kind of their start with electric vehicles, and we always did well with that machine. We always sold a lot of them, and upon its discontinuation, they came out with Kinetic, and Kinetic's been a hit for us. We've sold several Kinetics already. Continue to do well with Kinetic. We've got as soon as Polaris allows us to order them, we're ordering 3, 4, 5 of them that are pre-sold. So, we see the electric as being something that, at least in our area, I think we kind of are enjoying the benefits of being in the kind of the fringe area of what we call horse country. There's a lot of equestrian events, and so the EV really appeals to those farmers. So it doesn't spook horses. It doesn't, disrupt a whole lot around their farm. So, it was just logical that we would pay attention to Volcon, and they seem to be kind of the front runners and pioneering this EV technology. So it's the way things are going.
Okay, very cool. So then, what other like apparel and accessories do you carry, and what would you say is your best-selling PG&A?
We do a fair amount with some of the third party online, like eBay, Amazon, and unfortunately, most of the brands have eliminated what used to be Shopatron or Kibo now, which was a fulfillment site. Really, you customers went to, say, Kawasaki.com, and they bought a T-shirt. Well, somebody had to fill that order, and dealers got to bid on those. So I was really happy with our guys. They did a really good job. That was a lot of my brothers doing, and a couple people that worked here that really did a good job of getting those orders filled and shipping stuff all over the country. So a lot of soft goods, things like this sweater. Those things did really well in that arena. But it's funny, like this sweater might sit on a hanger in our dealership for 6 months, but we sell, in that 6-month time period, we sell 65, 70 of them across the country online. So,
Oh, wow.
but in store, it's hard stuff. It's things that you're bolting to the machine. So, I would say probably, if you're looking at just a part, or probably a winch. It's honestly, because winches go on all these. Yeah, so probably a winch. Roofs, windshields, back panels, those things all sell really well. And of course, the things that go along with motorcycles, every motorcycle purchase, or not everyone, but most everybody, we try to get them a helmet, jackets, gloves, all the things that they need to enjoy riding. So,
All right, excellent. And which distributors do you use?
all of them. I mean,
Um,
Western parts. We do try to stay OEM specific.
okay.
There's probably, I'm going to shoot from the hip. I don't know this number, but I'm going to say there's probably 6,000 Western dealers across the country, Western Powersports dealers across the country. Um, there's probably 1,100 Kawasaki dealers. Again, guessing. So,
Mhm.
the competition we have for this, it's we have a big benefit there because not everybody can go just get Kawasaki, but anybody with a street corner and a business license can pick up a Western franchise. So,
Mhm. Okay.
so
Okay.
we try to do the OEM stuff as much as we can, but there's still a lot of value in the aftermarket companies like Western, what was Tucker, Parts Unlimited. So
Yeah. Okay. And how many employees do you guys have?
19.
19. Okay. And it sounds like they're doing good work from what you've said.
We are very fortunate with the employees we have. I've really consider myself fortunate to have the people that we do. When you look at our staff, starting at administration, we've got Dawn Meadows, she's been with Valley Cycle Center for nearly as long as I have. So she's somebody that handles everything from HR to uh, accounts payable to you name it. I mean, she wears so many hats, takes it all on herself, and does such a good job for us. So we're fortunate to have Dawn. I've got technicians, mechanics that have been with me for 30 plus years. Our service writer's been here for over 30 years. Our service manager's been here over 30 years. Of course, my brother, parts guys that have been here for 20, 25 years. So we have had some changeover, some turnover, but for the most part, our staff has been intact for a long time, and um, just such a benefit to have that. You know, we're all familiar, we're all family, we all get along well. Everybody, I think, looks forward to showing up every day. So at least that's what they tell me. So it's a great culture, great environment, and I'm real happy with what we have going on here.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear, especially, nowadays when you hear so much about employee turnover and how difficult it is to, find new, techs and salespeople and everything. What do you think inspires that sort of retention at your dealership?
We uh, kind of my famous thing, the thing I always say to people when they're coming to work here, and even as they work here, is that it, the relationship that we have with Valley Cycle Center has to be a two-way street. It has to be a two-way street. Not only do you work for Valley Cycle Center, but Valley Cycle Center has to work for you. It's not a we can't do this thing as a dictatorship and all one-sided. And the benefit is a paycheck at the end of the week or the end of the month or whatever. The benefit has to be a daily benefit. It has to be something that for every sale that a salesman makes us has to be fulfilling in its own right, and fill multiple cups, not just a financial cup or anything else. So we try really hard to create an environment that is enjoyable. It's fun. I don't always succeed. I'm sure there's people out there that would tell you, he's full of it. He doesn't know what but those people just didn't fit. Those people just didn't fit. They weren't. It's like a house guest. You may love them, but after 3 days, you're ready to get rid of them. Some people just fit well. They fit well here, and
Mm-hmm.
we're fortunate to have a good group of people that fit well and feel comfortable with one another. Um, and we're constantly trying to, like, technicians are always in our 20 group. We talk about employee retention and the challenges that people face trying to attract talent, number one, and then keep it. Technicians always seem to be at the very tip top of that list. It's not even close. Everybody's looking for mechanics. And um, we're right in the middle. We've got some blueprints being designed, some architects putting some stuff together for us to be able to put together what I'm going to consider kind of our crown jewel of our dealership is our service department. Everybody's paying the same. Everybody's got a similar salary. Everybody's got the same. So why would somebody come to work here versus dealer X down the street? And for us, it's going to be because there's just not going to be any question as to which dealership has the best service department. It's going to be us. We're going to have a very comfortable, well lit, great place to work. Plenty of lifts, plenty of tools, all the special tools that you need, all the support, everything that you need to have. So you've got to build that. It's not just one thing, right? It's 100 little things that you have to do in order to make that work. But we spend a lot of time trying to emphasize and make a point to say, Valley Cycle Center also works for its employees. We want to reinvest back in the dealership to make this a nice place to work, and consequently it bleeds over to our retail.
Okay, so you've mentioned like trying to make the best service department in the area, um, to make you guys stand out. So for you, what does that mean? What qualifies as the best service department, or how do you strive to make yourselves the best?
It's not so much. That's a good question. It's not so much the obviously quality of work matters. You've got to be able to do it, but it's not so much the work that the technicians put out. These things that we're selling today, the majority of the work we're doing, it's service. It really is. It's service, and the repair work. You plug it into a computer, and a lot of stuff comes back. That sounds demeaning or marginalized as what those guys do. I don't mean that to be the case at all. There's no way in 5 or 6 years of training could I ever do what they do. It just is something that those guys have a knack for it, and they get it. But the majority of what we do is service. Those guys do such a good job back in service. I'm not really talking about like the quality of the work. That absolutely matters, and our end product is important. But the way that somebody spends their time, you think about an office space. If you went to work at any accountant, let's pick accounting as an industry. And to become an accountant, they were going to pay you $100,000 at this firm or $100,000 at that firm. But that firm has a corner office with a very nice view window. There's a coffee maker outside, and you've got access to all the law books and accounting books and everything that you could possibly need. But this law firm over here, also paying $100,000, has a office that's a 8 by 12, and it's a small little room, and there's no window, and it's uncomfortable because the air conditioner is right above you, and it's blowing cold air on you all day, and it's the lights flicker, and so you think about that kind of stuff, and we spend so much time as power sports operators focusing on our retail space. And then there's that service department in the back. It's dark and dungy and greasy and dirty, and we've been there. We've been there, and we've worked hard to try to make our service department a place that when our mechanics show up, that they're proud of it. They want to keep it clean. They want to keep it nice. It's a great place to work. It's comfortable. It's well lit. It's air conditioned. It's heated. This sounds like, of course, you should have all these things, but those are not things that are standard in power sports industry. There's plenty of dealerships that they got guys working outside under a canopy. It's not a comfortable place for these guys to work, and some of these guys, it's funny, they complain they can't keep help. Rightfully so.
Yeah, well, and it's understandable that sometimes the day-to-day can get in the way of keeping a service department area attractive. If just even cleanliness or cleaning up after yourself, sometimes it's easier to just
Sure.
let things lay where they are and everything. But no, I absolutely agree that if you can make your techs like invest their time and themselves into having a nice shop area, then they're going to want to keep it clean. They're going to want to keep it attractive, not just for themselves, but any customers that perhaps come back in there too.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a very important piece. Again, we work really hard to keep our showrooms nice and straight and in order. And of course, salesmen like it. Of course, they're comfortable because our customers are comfortable. Of course, F&I people, and not to say that there's not turnover in those departments too. You experience it everywhere, but it seems like that with service, that's always the that department is the problem, and it's let's kick it back as far as we can behind the dealership. For us, we kind of want to make it a centerpiece and a focal point for not just our customers, but for also our excuse me, our employees, but for our customers too. We want to be proud of it. We'll be able to walk them through there and show them. This is why your service bills are that expensive. I hate to put it that way, but it's this is real. This isn't like I think again. Also, customers have a perception of, well, it's just a four-wheeler. It's just a dirt bike. I shouldn't have to pay $550 to get the thing fixed. It's like getting a chainsaw fixed for $80 down at the saw shop, or my garden tractor. Whatever. It's this is as advanced and even more so than most of my car dealerships in town. You start looking at what car dealerships are built like and how they are, and I'd argue that what we're putting in is going to be as nice or nicer than any of those. So but it has to, um, as hard as it is to find talent and attract talent and keep talent, I think that those are things that we just have to do. It's just a changing landscape, and we have to keep up.
Absolutely. So that's definitely one challenge, well, for yourselves and for the industry as a whole. But what would you say have been like some of your other biggest challenges recently?
Oh, I think right at the top of the list is our industry. Power sports in general has become such a segmented industry, and
Hmm.
with that segmentation has come different buyers, or different types of buyers across the line. We used to be a motorcycle shop. When I came to work here, I think it was 84% of what we sold was two wheel, and we sold
Hmm.
some four wheelers in the winter. It was just kind of a side, almost a side hustle, so to speak. It wasn't a real, it wasn't, I shouldn't say a real business. It was certainly a real business, but it was just not a big part of what we did. It was definitely two wheel driven. And now we're dealing with, like I say, horse farmers. We've got dairy farmers. We've got hunters. We've got recreational off road riders. We've got motocrossers. We've got street riders, guys that are commuting from point A to point B. Uh, every single one of those guys are different. It's
Hmm.
not the same buyer. You have to market differently to each one of them. They're uh, and it's become hard in our parts. Going back to PG&A, it's been difficult in our PG&A department to figure out exactly just what we are. Sometimes we have to sit down and say, what is it that what are we here? Are we a motorcycle
Yeah.
shop? Are we a four wheeler dealer? Should we be stocking street helmets or snow plows? Like, those are two completely different things that we've really struggled with. And I think that when I look at dealers across the country, I think they're whether they recognize it or not. It seems like, for us, it's just second nature. But when we stand back and look at it, it's just such a completely segmented industry at this point. And we don't even stock watercraft or snowmobiles. I mean, imagine if we had all that stuff too. So I think about dealers like in Minnesota or Idaho that have great summers and plenty of lakes, but they also have winters. So they've got everything that we have plus two other additional segments that are a big part of their business. It's I think that's the biggest challenge for power sports dealers right now is figuring all that stuff out and trying to maximize the most of it.
So, is there a way that you guys have been trying to overcome that challenge?
Yeah. So, and this might be ultra simplistic. I find that those are usually the best plans. They're it's not easy. It's a simple roadmap, but it's a hard execution. But for us, we just remind ourselves daily, whether we're dealing with a Apple farmer or we're dealing with a Apple computer programmer. Doesn't matter. It's still people. It's still people,
Hmm.
and everybody wants the same thing. Everybody kind of wants the same thing there. The product, consider it secondary. Build the relationship first. Identify with that person. Build a relationship first, and everything else will kind of fall in second. And before, we used to allow our product to kind of speak for itself. And in some cases, you can still do that. Kinetic is a great example, Polaris Kinetic. That product speaks for itself because there's really nothing else in that space that's really talking. So we can allow customers to do that. That's been a somewhat, shouldn't say easy, but that's a product that speaks for itself. People are asking for it. Everything else, you got to sell yourself first. You've got to build that relationship first. Step back, follow the process, stick with it, and realize that while all these guys are going to be very, very different, they're still just guys. They're still just people. It's still just everybody wants the same thing, and they want to feel like um, their deal matters, and it absolutely matters to us. So we want to make sure that they feel that. So we try to build that relationship first.
Yeah, that's excellent. So, I'm thinking over like what you've said here about the segmentation of the industry. And just kind of looking ahead to the future here, what do you think then is, in store for power sports dealers? Do you think, obviously many power sports dealers are, they have a bunch of OEMs, they're trying to sell kind of across the board, especially taking into consideration the seasons, as you said, sell your watercraft in the summer, sell your snowmobiles in the winter, and all that sort of thing. But do you think that's going to be feasible going on to like spread yourself so thin across many different types of segments, or do you think that dealers are going to start focusing more on their niches, like, oh, we're going to be just for street riders, or we're going to be just for four wheelers, or something like that?
I go back and forth on that almost daily. One day I say let's expand and get into it all, and then some days I say let's start to trim the fat and focus and get a very extreme focus on one particular or two particular segments there and go with those. That's a great question, and one that's highly debatable. I'm not sure what the right answer is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this industry is strong enough to allow you just to be, of course, a Harley dealer might disagree, but just to be a single line dealer for almost anything. That's going to be very difficult to handle the ebbs and flows of economy. Really, it's
Right.
where two wheel product may slow down, four wheel may not, or where snowmobiles may fall off, watercraft will keep on going, or it seems like that the more segments you have built into your dealership, and the better you can handle that, and also the brands too. The brands matter. For a lot of things, it's a two horse race. We think about Microsoft and Apple, Ford and Chevy, Coke and Pepsi. We really aren't that much different. It always seems like a two horse race. Now, which two horses matter. So, and we've seen that jockey around quite a bit here, especially in the last 20 years. There's been leaders come and go, and um, you know, right now I think it's pretty clear who the two leaders are in our industry, but it's that may change. So having multiple brands and the ability to have those brands pull you along and help pull you along, so that you're not constantly just driving and pushing the retail and making it hard on yourself. Again, having brands that people are asking for is very important, and it's
Yeah.
hard to sell a brand nobody wants. Um, so it's having those multiple brands. So I'm leaning more towards the idea of making it more difficult. Again, the segmentation, you almost have to have it. You almost have to have multiple brands. It's hard just to have a single brand. It's um, you know, I, you're going to have to be diversified in this
Mhm.
industry, and you hear that term a lot. And it sounds like a cop out on my part, but it you really do. I think you need to have. Tomorrow I might sing a different song though. Tomorrow I might say, let's just get rid of all these things, sell this one brand, and imagine how much better we would do. And I don't know what both may be right. There's a couple ways to skin a cat, but I really believe you probably ought to have. So for a dealer getting into it, I know we've seen a lot of changeover in this industry here in the last 10 years. We've seen generational change, just like what we experienced, what we went through. Um,
Mhm.
and then people just getting out. And so we're seeing some guys get started and they pick up a brand or two. And I love to see that. I really do get excited for them because it's such a new, fresh feeling. But that's not it. You have to continue to push and look and maybe approach your competitor, buy him out. Maybe a different rooftop makes sense. Maybe combine two rooftops. I don't know how it looks, but you really have to. I think you really have to be the things that challenge us. The citation is something that's unfortunately I think is necessary for our business to handle just what you're being thrown at on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a bit about, maybe the future of the industry, but let's narrow that down a bit. And what do you see in the future, or kind of the more immediate future for Valley Cycle Center, next 5, 10 years?
Well, for us, just the plans that we have, obviously, we talked about our service department. We're gonna take our service department from a 4,000 square foot, uh, what I consider a very nice facility, but it's going to become a 7,200 square foot facility that, when just going to kind of blow your hair back when you walk in. That's a goal of mine, is to make it really nice. I've got some guys in my 20 group that I've looked at what they've done. Um, I've as they've built new facilities, and have made notes, and just trying to take. I always joke, I've never had a good idea. I just steal everybody else's good ideas. It's hard for me to come up with those on my own, but so I'm stealing all these guys' ideas for their service department and putting some of my own stuff in there to make it, I think, fit us better.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, we just don't have any choice. We're a Polaris dealer. Polaris, we were at the dealer show. Polaris did a great job in Nashville of treating us dealers to a great event, and announced a new 1500cc side by side that is very exciting, but it's also very big. It's
Mm.
huge, and there's so much of our business comes from the off-road segment. Um, Four-wheel product makes up about 72-73% of our retail sales, but we don't have any space to put it on the floor. So, you walk into our dealership and it's just all two-wheeled stuff that, still, again, a big part of what we sell here, but um, we need the additional space. So we're gonna wind up tripling our retail space here in the next year, uh,
Excellent.
18 months. I don't know how long it takes, but here in the not too distant future, we're going to have 3 times the retail space that we currently did, plus that service department that I think is going to really help get us through the next 10 or 15 years, hopefully, until there's something bigger from somebody else that we have to sell or accommodate. You never would have figured that you would have been selling three-wheeled cars years ago. Now you've got Slingshot, and uh,
Mhm.
I remember Kawasaki coming out with the first mule. It's like, just it's hard to say where we're going, and what's coming next. It really is. But we're hoping to be prepared and be ready for it and be on the front side of things.
Excellent. So, just in conclusion here, is there anything else you'd like to add, either about your dealership or any advice you may have for other dealers out there?
Um, Gosh, I'm reluctant to give advice unless somebody's asking me for it. And even then, I give a bunch of disclaimers before dishing it out. I think the biggest thing is there's we power sports dealers in general, at least in the near quarter century I've been involved in this. We've experienced our fair share of blows. I've seen dealers come and go, and some of them not be able to weather things that came. When COVID happened, we were very concerned. You put yourself in my shoes, and it was a new business owner who just signed a pretty substantial note to get into business, to buy out our father, and I felt like we should have our heads checked for doing this. And this is how bad I am. Like, it's the first thing I did on day one was cancel a bunch of orders, which is expensive, as dealers know. You don't get to cancel orders for free. But I thought, I'm going to take this on the chin right now. There's no way I'm going to have this stuff sitting here. Who's going to buy a four-wheeler or a motorcycle during a pandemic? So my first
Yeah.
action as a business owner was a terrible, bad choice. I really screwed that up. And but again, it was just, I think that I would much rather make an error on the side of conservatism more so than stocking my showroom full. And even now, we've got interest payments that I don't like. You know, we've got more stuff than we should, but dealers now more than ever need to become the best inventory managers that they can be. It's Interest rates are just too expensive. They're too high. The price of what we're ordering anymore. We're not buying blasters and $3,000 YZs anymore. I mean, our average sale price now is anywhere from 10 grand to 18, $19,000, and you know that becomes very real when you've got 200 machines in stock. It's a 8, 9, 10, 12, 15% interest wherever interest rates are going. Being a good inventory manager is essential. Above being good at marketing, good at anything else, you've got to be a good inventory manager. And I say that not to scare anybody into not ordering stuff. You know, you got to have enough stuff to be able to sell, but you got to have a plan to get rid of it. So it's not just one thing. It's not just one piece of advice. I could scare somebody into not ordering anything. They don't have anything to sell through the winter or sell through the spring or whatever. But as you're putting these plans together, as you put your orders together, start thinking about how much interest do I want to pay on this. Again, our 20 group, I'm seeing dealers everywhere being really, really good at being an inventory manager. And there's guys like me that are sweating. You know, it's like, I got to get rid of this stuff. And it's a very reactionary thing you don't want to be into, but that's the kind of stuff that really puts dealers on their heels, slows them down, can ruin years, and can ruin careers. So.
All right. Well, James, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. That was a very enlightening conversation.
Well, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, and I enjoy talking about the industry. I think it's fun. It's helpful for me too. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely, and thank you, NPM fam, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time on another Dealer Dialogue.